Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today it was your choice, and the anime of choice was The World is Still Beautiful, or Still World is Beautiful, or better yet, Stockholm Syndrome.
It depends on, okay, who do you think has Stockholm Syndrome?
Look, I just want you to know that Nike, she is very, very much Stockholmed.
No, when I saw that the first time, I was like, Nike? And they're like, no, it's Nikkei. Like, no, that says Nike.
No, it's Nikkei, but it's spelled Nike, Nike.
I was like, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Excuse me while I take a knee now.
Seriously, though. So the premise of this is, I guess, most easily put, you've got a new ruler looking for a concubine, I guess, a new conquest, if you will. But the new emperor is just a kid. So instead of...
Well, it's not that he's a new emperor. He's
been an emperor for 3 years.
Yeah, and it's been a very bloody reign that entire time.
Yeah. He's literally killed everybody in his opposition. So the reason he got to power was the previous king or emperor, I guess, took a lowborn citizen and had a kid with her, which is him. Somehow he's able to rise the power, even though he's a bastard child, or lowborn bastard child, I think is how he was described at one point in time.
Yeah, he's been described as a lot of things.
A lot of unflattering things.
A lot of unflattering things.
And he somehow, some way triumphs over everybody at a stupidly young age. And he refers to Nike or Nikkei as a plaything. And she immediately just turns him off. She's like, yeah, that's not going to happen, kid. And he goes, okay, you have two options: starve in my jail or become my plaything. And the interesting part about Nikkei is she has the ability to control wind somehow.
Through her family's lineage and the power that they've always had, her and her entire village, they're given control, or at least some variation of that, to the weather, or rather the wind and rain, and they're able to call lightning as well. Just barely. Like, okay, so he lives in the sun area where there's no the Sun Kingdom, where there is no rain. It's all, I believe they call it fair weather. So it's like California. And she comes from the Principality of Rain, and she is the fourth daughter of the Principality of Rain. And the only reason that she was chosen to be his new plaything is she lost a game of rock, paper, scissors with her arguably more attractive sisters. Yes. And that basically sets it up for the entire show. And so she goes to this land where the Sun King is, after having been built up to that he's like a bald, horny lecher of an old man type thing, gets there. He is a 15-year-old king, and he has, as it's been put several times, very cold eyes, very, very dead eyes. Like, he is very brutal, and how he sees the world is as such. It's like, this world is full of evil, and it's my job to take it over and rid it of that evil. I need to make sure that everyone who is in opposition to me is killed. And he's not nice about it. He's like, just off with their heads, type thing. Queen of Hearts, like Alice in Wonderland, off with their heads.
Yeah, he's very, very concise with his disciplinary action. There's no playroom. There's no, oh, well, in like most shows you see, there's a chance they can, there's no chance. There's no chance. He's like, yeah, they're going to die, and they're going to die now. Wait time? What's that? There's no wait time. Bring the beheader in right now. Bring the executioner in, because it's time for him to go. Make an example. And he's very effective. And the funny thing is, he's brilliant. Like, he's insanely smart on most things. And I say that because when Nike first meets him, she goes, it's a shame that you own everything.
Yeah.
But look at
and
nothing.
She really calls him out on this, and too, a lot in the beginning.
calls him worthless. She even calls him worthless. And for being such a cold-hearted king, it really bothers him.
Well, I mean, like even when people would insult him or touch him or anything like that, he would be like, that's a punishable offense by death. And yet with her, it's not. They like locked her up and she's able to easily escape. And she just like appears in his room and she's like, I'm going to beat some sense into you. And then she ends up eating his food.
Because she's starving. She's perpetually hungry. It makes no sense. It's almost a tired trope. However,
it's not played all the way throughout.
It's funny.
They play it a couple of times.
They don't overdo it.
They really show it a couple of times, but they don't have it truly playing out all the way through like that. And which is great. They don't pound it into the ground.
Yeah, she doesn't eat massive amounts. She's just like, hey, I'm hungry. And like, she's okay with a sandwich or with soup.
Yeah. And I agree. Like whenever she eats, it's not these giant lavish feasts or anything like that. And even when they first meet her and she says that she's hungry or she wants to be introduced to the beauty of this world, he misinterprets it. And provides her this large lavish feast and puts her in all this really fine gown and everything like that. And she goes right outside to the flowers and said, this is beauty. This is what I want you to show. And his response is, they're flowers. Flowers are just flowers. They're nothing.
To understand why that was even said is he wants her to produce rain. And she's like, that's not how things work. I have to have an emotional connection and I have to be inspired. I have to be able to manipulate my song for the climate that I'm in. I grew up in the Principality of Rain, and I grew up there, so I'm emotionally connected to the whole thing. It's easy for me to work there. I show up here and I can barely do anything because everything's so foreign and people are so different that I don't understand it. And one of her turning points in the very first episode was, I think I can manipulate the wind here. I think I can live here.
The thing is control the rain, control the wind and everything like that. It's not, I'm going to call the rain and will stay here for the entire time until I decide to dismiss it. It's the rain is there while I'm singing. And that's how she's able to call the rain, how she's able to call this rain and thunderstorms down is because she's singing, and in order for it to maintain, she has to have the emotion, she has to have that connection, and then she has to sing the entire time. So the second she stops singing, that's it, the rain's over.
What's kind of cool to me is they used the rain as a transmitter of emotion. Like the very first time she sings for him, she feels so bad for him. And she calls it a tender rain. And when she brings the lightning down,
well, it's not her that brings the lightning down. It's her grandmother at the end that's bringing the lightning down because she's pissed. And Nikke, she calls out to that because she notices it, saying someone must be practicing or not being that careful because that thunder, that lightning is really close to us. Now, the one thing that is constant is as time progresses, it's not like days or weeks that pass by, it's months that pass by. And you really see her grow on him and see him starting to evolve and mature as a person by not being so cold-hearted about everything, except when it comes to certain actions of other individuals.
Everyone he deems an enemy has zero leeway. It is kind of cool because they change his facial features. They harden it ever so slightly, but just enough to be like,
yeah, and not only that, they also glass over the eyes a little bit more too, to kind of remove the soul from him, you know? It really conveys like, this is not the person you want to be messing with right now, and you will die. Now, granted, during this entire show, they actually don't kill anyone. Like, no one ever actually gets killed. And the total number of episodes in this anime is 12, and it came out in spring 2014. Now, I'm going to have to look and see if there's any other shows that I'm familiar with from these producers. And now the studio is Pierrot, but the producers are V.A.P. And Nippon Television Network, and then Hakusensha.
Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with any of them.
Neither am I, but if this is the kind of work that they're doing, then
I feel it's more mental and emotional than it is anything else. Because when I watched this, it reminded me a lot of Your Lie in April, and only because the music was really well done and the vocals were surprising. Like I was not expecting. You know how sometimes you'll hear someone speak in a foreign language when you're watching anime, and you're like, well, I mean, they tried. Here, like it was good.
well, the studios Nippon and V.A.P. They're so I'm actually familiar with some of their work now that I'm looking at it a little bit. Number one on their list, which falls right in line with the show, Death Note, and then you also have Elfen Lied.
Wow, that's true. Although I'm not quite sure how Death Note matches this at all.
No, but it does.
They did Hunter x Hunter. They did some really big blockbusters here.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Why haven't we heard of these people before?
Well, we probably have. It's just they're not getting the kind of recognition that they deserve. Because there's a lot on there that I have seen that I'm actually fans of for V.A.P. and Nippon.
I agree. I've seen about 8 of the ones that I'm seeing here.
The romantic side of it, I can totally understand it being Hakusensha, because the majority of theirs is love and romance related.
That makes sense. Wow, I'm impressed. We might have to take a look at producers in the future instead of individual anime. I like it. But going back to this one, my favorite character out of the entire series, honestly, was a side character. I liked the butler a lot.
Neil?
Yeah.
I like Neil. Neil was my favorite. I would have to agree. Neil, who is the side character aside from Livius, who is the Sun King, Neil is, despite him being a supporting character, is the most engaging character out of them, which is really sad considering he's just the side character.
Yeah, but the thing that I liked about him was they didn't overplay him. They gave you just enough information through him that you weren't feeling like they were explaining stuff to you. It wasn't one of those anime that, you know the whole story, even if the characters don't. They had a little bit of that where you'd have the bad guy monologuing to his subordinates and you find out later. But with the butler, there was subtle key things that the king needed to know or be reminded of. But it wasn't, hey, this is what's happening, this is what you need to do, and this is why. And it made me think that they appreciated the viewer a little bit more. They appreciated the viewer's intellect.
Yeah.
So it might be a little egocentric to say, but it was nice to be appreciated as a viewer.
Yeah. I would have to agree with you 100%. Overall, I would have to say, though, the story really kind of left me wanting.
Really?
I mean, like,
granted, it did not have bookends. I agree. It did not have an end, but it did not make me think there was going to be a sequel.
It didn't make me think that there was going to be a sequel. It made me feel like there should have been a sequel.
But what else could they have done? What else did they, you know what I mean? Like, what story did they not soft close, I'm going to call it.
So one of the things that they really didn't elaborate on is his mother's background and where she came from, because she knew the song. She knew about the Principality of Rain.
I agree with that. And there was some mystery behind her, but I think that was the point of it. Like, you did see her face, you did see her body. So you got an idea that she didn't show her face though. But in episode 2, I think it's like 20 minutes into it, you do see a glimpse of her face. And that's right. Okay. So they showed her like partially covered face. Yeah, but the fact is that they did show, and she was beautiful. She had little bead drop thing on her forehead. And so I'm thinking that she might have said something along the lines of, hey, I come from a lower area like the Principality of Rain, perhaps. Probably not, because that'd be too incestuous. But
even then, I mean, like when she was singing, she was singing, and she only said it's from a place that has constant rain. And I was going to say, and then I caught myself. I was going to say, well, she doesn't summon the rain. Well, not everyone in the Principality of Rain can summon the rain. So
I was actually about to bring that up. So maybe if she was from the Principality of Rain, and these are just hypotheticals here, but if she was, maybe she was lowborn from there. Maybe everyone from there looks that hot. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like we find out pretty early on.
Fair.
And then we find out towards the end too. I mean, like that doesn't really give you a picture to her origin, to like who she actually was and where she came from. Like, why was she there? Why the hell was she so beautiful? And why was Livius's uncle so infatuated in love with his brother's wife, slut, concubine, something, in love with Livius's mom? We'll just leave it with that.
Yeah,
Aside from her beauty.
Like, I mean, in order to attract the eye of a king or royalty in general, you have to have more than beauty. You have to have some kind of contribution. In the real world and in most fantasy worlds, the people who attract the eyes of the royalty are quite literal triple threats. They've got beauty, brains, and another innate talent that the king is like, wow, that's so amazing. So
I mean, like sometimes they just take women on just because, or men. I'm not judging one way or the other. I'm not judging one way or the other.
You do have it there. However, they don't keep them around. Like if it's a concubine, they've got a concubine's quarters.
I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like they might get chop happy and start beheading people they have no use for.
There's King Henry right there. But
yeah,
Livis was, is it Livis?
You could call him Levi, Livi. Okay, because Levi, that's what she does. When she finally becomes infatuated with him and realizes that he's not keeping her there against her will, he's keeping her there to keep her safe. Yes. Yeah. Just call him like it is. His captor.
It's not Stockholm. It's not Stockholm. It's not.
It is.
It's not.
It is.
When it's royalty, it's not.
It is.
Think if he was poor, absolutely. But he's not. So it doesn't count.
Hey. Look, just because he's not poor doesn't mean it doesn't count. Look, you can have 50 Shades of Grey. It's just one would be the next scene, the next episode of Special Victims Units, and the other one's not. Money makes all the difference. So the moral of the story is money makes the difference. It doesn't matter. It's if you have billions of dollars. Gotcha. Okay. So in that case, I'm going to go out with my billionaire dinosaur T-Rex boyfriend, and he's going to just do whatever. There we go. We're going with that.
Okay. Think about this in a real world situation. What is the difference when a guy goes to a girl? What's the difference between creepy and adorable, whether the girl likes him or not?
Money.
Stockholm syndrome. Well, I mean, there's money too, but Stockholm syndrome. The difference is there's a quantifiable difference. In these stories, it's money. In real life situations, it's whether or not she thinks you're cute.
It's whether or not you have a loaded bank account and you're paying for stuff. Or him. You're paying for his stuff or her stuff. It doesn't matter. Money makes the difference. Money makes the world go around. Stockholm syndrome at that point takes the back end. But the difference is, here's the difference, sir. They're both royalty. Okay. Money to her don't mean jack squat. It's Stockholm. He kidnapped her. Really? They don't care.
In the very first episode, she goes to get by like a fruit, and I forget what it was, but she does the conversion method in her head, and the guy's like, I'll even give you a discount because you're cute, not knowing who she was. And she goes, blah, blah, blah. That's 18. Are you freaking crazy? He goes, what are you, poor? Get away. I don't want the poor on me.
I don't want you ruining my business. Get away.
She goes, you can't do it. Oh, that reminds me. Very first episode, she gets robbed, right?
Yes.
Those two guys, while they're not my favorite, they are definitely hilarious. They are my Deadpool in this whole thing because they break the fourth wall. Because when they kidnap the girl in her place, they're supposed to kidnap Nikkei, and they get the girl who's helping her out first, and they're like, "Well, you know what these male viewers want, you know what they need," and then Nikkei comes and saves the day.
Yep.
So they break the fourth wall there, and they're like, "We're about to level up." They're taking this as far as a game goes. So wouldn't that be awesome if there's like an episode 15, 14 we can use to describe what happens to the mom, but episode 15 we go into this VR gaming system and realize these two jackoffs are in a game, and this is all simulated. Nothing's real. Nothing matters.
That would be really sad and depressing. I would not be happy with that kind of ending. I would be truly disappointed with that kind of ending.
But it's kind of hilarious to think about that they're going to sword art this stuff.
All right. So
bringing it back.
Let's wrap it up a little bit.
All right.
In the end, they do go back home. They do end up together in the very end. Whether or not I agree with the true methods and why they're together is another story entirely. But
results are the only thing that matters.
Results are the only thing that matter. Yes.
The ends justify the means.
Let this be a lesson. If you have money, it's not considered kidnapping.
It's considered enrichment.
It's considered enrichment. All right.
Like, the thing I liked about the anime is over the course of the show, you can actually see changes on both sides. She's utterly optimistic at the beginning, and she's more grounded at the end. And he is just cold-hearted and calculated. And at the end, while still kind of an asshole, he's a kinder one. Yes, a very, very much kinder. I will still murder you, but okay, kind of guy. All right, on a scale of personal favorite, the butler never changes because he doesn't have to. The butler is perfect, regardless. So, on a scale of 1 to 28, right, no. On a scale of 0 to 10, sir, how would you rate this? I'm gonna have to rate it a really strong 7 or a really weak 8. So, on a scale of 0 to 10, sir, how would you rate this? I would rate this an 8. I'd rate this an 8. Okay, so you think it's a very good anime. All right. I'd have to disagree. I gotta go with the 7. I gotta go with the 7. It's just good. It's not great. It could have been better. The animation could have been so much better, but it got the point across and it was still good across. Yeah, the story kind of carried it the entire way, in my opinion. It just as an anime should. You should not rely on graphics and whatnot. But what got it from good to better for me, what brought it over the 7 hump, the singing. They did really, really well with the singing. The lyrics could have been so much better, though. Yeah, they didn't really rhyme that much, but maybe in Japanese, it might have been better. No, I mean, I watched it in Japanese. No, I did too. But like when she started singing, it was maybe always, the words in Japanese. It was a mixture of the two. Yeah, it was bad. It could have been so much better. It could have been better. It was good. It was great for you. It was good for me. It was okay for everyone else, maybe, or it was fantastic. We don't know, but they sure know. And so. Next week is my choice. What you gonna hit me with? Oh no, another slice of life. I could specify slice of life for you if you would like. Oh God. I mean, slice of life, ecche, and what are the other ones I don't like? Reverse harem. Who? First of all, you love ecche. All right, don't fucking lie to me. All right, do not lie to me. You love ecche. Okay. Oh, God. So let's see what you got. All right. Next week's choice is Gunslinger Girl. I am actually very familiar with this one. This is a great
great anime. It's an action, drama, military, psychological, and sci-fi. Also, a little bit of a tearjerker. It's a good one.
No.
It is so good. It is 13 episodes long, came out in 2003. It is rated mature. So yeah, be prepared for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So if anyone else has seen Gunslinger Girl or last week's, any of the other ones that we have seen, reach out to us at featuredanimepodcast@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at those anime guys. And we also have a voicemail link in the show notes. Feel free to leave us a voicemail. We'll even respond to you on air. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you prefer to listen to us. Until next time, I'm Jack.
And I'm Rick.
Later.